welcome back. And the world is grieving with New Zealand this morning as more harrowing details emerge about the attack on 2 Christchurch mosques. For more now, we're joined by TVNZ reporter Ryan Boswell. Ryan, firstly, we just want to say we're truly sorry for what's happened to your country and to Christchurch, and obviously we stand with solidarity with all of you there. But what was interesting that came out of the last cross we did to the courts is that this shooter is not going to be named in the media at the moment over there. So at the moment, is it a suppression order until he goes in, or if he pleads guilty or innocent, will the judge lift that? I mean, what's going on with that in your judicial system?
As we've seen on papers around Australia, this man has been named, his photograph is out there. In New Zealand, the coverage is very different. We're not naming him. We're only identifying him as an Australian national, and his photograph isn't being shown anywhere. So New Zealand media is restricted, and that's because it's generally considered to be a contempt of court. So the media itself in New Zealand could be punished if it puts his name out there in the public arena. Now, I know that seems really strange because around the world, he's been identified. But again, the rules are different in New Zealand. The courts will be wanting to make sure that this individual's given a fair trial, and it's going to be really interesting to see whether he in fact applies for name suppression today.
It seems extraordinary. In some way, I like it, because if you're not naming him and you're not showing his face, he can't be a hero to anybody.
And there's a lot of psychology behind that now, saying that's what we should do more and more.
But, you know, the other element of this is if he pleads not guilty and if he goes to trial, they're going to have to find a jury in New Zealand that hasn't been influenced by what they've seen already.
And that's almost going to be near impossible, isn't it? Because there has been so much coverage. And if you're not getting your coverage in New Zealand from New Zealand media, then you're going to be able to get it elsewhere. The media the internet makes that so accessible now.
Ryan, tell us a little bit about the community of Christchurch. You know, it's not very big. As we've said earlier this morning, it's kind of like a big small town, really. It's like a country town. It's been devastated by the earthquakes recently and the natural disasters it's had to go through in the last few years. And now this. How does this affect them, and what are they like?
It's tough. I grew up in Christchurch. It's what I thought was a safe place. There's only about 400,000 people. And I think when the earthquakes happened, that really rallied the community together. It made them so much closer because you could see the anguish that they went through, and they really wanted to support each other. And to have an incident like this, which is devastating and something that we just do not see in New Zealand. You've got to remember that gun violence doesn't exist back home.
Right.
We don't see it. And so I even found it strange coming to Australia to see the number of gun crimes that happen over here. I wasn't aware that it was as bad as it is.
And we have quite strict gun laws here too.
Absolutely.
So the irony there is quite right.
Absolutely. And no surprise that Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister today, is saying change is needed. Maybe we were too naive.
The last time I visited Christchurch, and it was still a few years after the earthquakes, there were buildings there that still hadn't been rebuilt. We've heard from our reporter today that some of the staff in the hospital know the people that they're treating. How much is this community going to rally together, and how strong are they?
Absolutely, they're going to rally together, no doubt about that. Already you're seeing people open their homes, people dropping off flowers. As Kiwis, we are so inclusive, we are so open to others who are different. And in fact, you know, difference is interesting, right? It brings us together. It's a great talking point.